If you've ever felt stuck in one place, like life has pressed pause while the world moves on, then this story is for you. A reminder that even when nothing seems to change, something deep inside you still grows. Beneath the quiet earth, a single seed lay awake, while the rest slept peacefully. Every night it whispered to itself, "When will it be my time?" But the earth never answered, and as seasons passed above, the seed began to wonder. Was it buried to bloom, or buried to be forgotten? Deep beneath the surface of the earth, surrounded by roots and silence, the little seed waited. The soil around it was heavy and cold, pressing against its shell. Above, it could feel the faint rhythm of footsteps, the whisper of wind, and the distant warmth of the sun it had never seen. It dreamed of light, of color, of life beyond the darkness. But the days kept passing, and nothing changed. Around it, other seeds had long given up. Some had dried away, some had decayed. "Maybe we were never meant to grow," they would murmur in the dark. But this little seed refused to believe that. There was something inside it, a quiet spark, that kept whispering, "Not yet." But soon, still, doubt crept in. Every night, when the earth grew colder, the seed wondered if it had been forgotten. "Why did the gardener bury me here?" it thought. "Did I do something wrong, or am I too weak to rise?" The more it questioned, the heavier the silence became. One morning, after a long, endless rain, the seed felt the soil around it soften. The ground was damp, the air thick with promise. For the first time, it felt the pull of something greater, something urging it to break. But fear held it back. What if I push and fail? What if I break and never become anything? It didn't yet know that this very breaking, the one it feared most, was the first step toward its becoming. Days passed, and the rain continued to fall. The seed could feel the weight of water seeping deeper into the ground, filling every crack and hollow. The pressure grew unbearable. The shell that had once protected it now felt like a prison, and the soft soil that once comforted it now pressed in from every side. It wanted to stretch, to move, to rise. But every time it tried, pain followed. It could hear faint echoes from the surface, the hum of bees, the whisper of wind in the leaves, sounds that reminded it of what it longed to become. But the distance between that world and this dark earth felt infinite. "Why must growth hurt so much?" it cried in silence. "Why must I break just to live?" The voice inside, the same quiet spark that had always guided it, answered softly, "Because what stays unbroken never becomes more than a seed." But fear was louder. The seed began to doubt the voice, to question the purpose of its pain. It thought of the others who had faded away peacefully, untouched by struggle. "Maybe they were lucky," it whispered. "Maybe growing isn't worth the breaking." Still, something deeper stirred. A pulse, a heartbeat, a will that refused to die. The rain above grew stronger, its rhythm turning into a call. Each drop that touched the soil sent a vibration through the ground, like encouragement from the sky. And then it happened. A small crack split through the seed's hard shell. The pain was sharp, almost unbearable. But in that instant of breaking, light found a way in. Warmth trickled through the opening, touching its core. The seed didn't understand it yet, but this was not the end of its strength. It was the beginning of its awakening. The seed had cracked, and though the first touch of light was warm, it was also terrifying. For the first time, it could feel itself changing. Something alive was moving within. Its shell, once strong and certain, was now fragile and torn. "What's happening to me?" it whispered, trembling in the dark. "Am I breaking or becoming?" The soil pressed tighter as its roots began to form, reaching downward into the unknown. Every inch was a struggle. The deeper it went, the colder it became. The seed often paused, tempted to stop, to rest, to go back to what it once was. But there was no going back now. The shell that once held it safe no longer existed. Doubt returned, stronger than before. I was complete before this, it thought. Whole, safe. Why did I ruin it all? The memories of its quiet life returned. The peace of stillness, the comfort of waiting. And for a moment, it missed that life. Growth, it realized, wasn't the gentle dream it had imagined. It was pain disguised as purpose. Yet amid the struggle, something remarkable was happening. The roots, once thin and uncertain, were beginning to take hold. The deeper they went, the stronger they became. Each struggle against the soil made them tougher. Each ounce of pain taught them how to anchor. And above, unseen by the seed, the rain was beginning to slow. The storm that had terrified it was finally passing. A faint warmth, the first breath of sunlight, touched the surface of the earth. The seed could sense it, even from below. Something within whispered again, "Don't stop now." The hardest part always comes before the bloom. And for the first time, the seed no longer feared the breaking. It began to trust it. The rain had stopped. The earth, once heavy and soaked, was now calm and warm under the gentle touch of sunlight. The seed could feel the warmth traveling down through the layers of soil, finding its way to where it lay, tired, cracked, and changed. Something deep within it stirred again, a quiet voice rising above the silence. It's time to rise. At first, the seed hesitated. Rising meant facing the unknown. It meant leaving behind the dark safety it had always known. But when it listened closely, it realized the voice wasn't demanding. It was inviting. The warmth felt like kindness, like a promise that the pain had a purpose. Gathering what strength it had left, the seed began to push upward. Inch by inch, it fought through the soil, through the weight of everything that once held it down. The closer it moved toward the surface, the brighter the world became, even though it still couldn't see it. Then, suddenly, the resistance broke. A fragile green shoot emerged from the ground, trembling in the light. For a moment, the seed thought it might collapse. The world above was vast and bright, almost too much to bear. But the air was gentle and the sun was kind. For the first time, it could breathe. The pain that once felt like breaking now felt like birth. And in that first breath of freedom, the seed understood what the darkness had been preparing it for all along: the courage to reach toward the light. Days turned into nights, and the fragile sprout began to grow stronger. Its tiny leaves opened wide, catching the sunlight that once felt unreachable. The wind whispered lessons that only the patient could understand. Every rustle, every shadow, every drop of dew carried meaning now. The sprout remembered its past, how afraid it was to crack, how it resisted change, how it thought breaking meant ending. But as it swayed gently in the morning air, it realized something profound. It had to lose everything to become what it was meant to be. The shell wasn't its prison, it was its beginning. Looking up, it saw other plants around, tall, graceful, alive. Each had its own story of breaking and growing. None had escaped the dark. They had simply trusted the process of becoming. And now, the once hidden seed understood that every moment of struggle, every fear, every drop of rain was never meant to destroy. It was meant to prepare. It smiled in its own quiet way, leaves shimmering in the light. Growth wasn't easy, but it was beautiful, because only through the breaking could it discover its true strength. And only through surrender could it finally reach the sky. Seasons passed, and the little sprout had now become a strong, graceful tree standing proudly in the meadow. Its roots stretched deep into the earth that once felt like a grave, and its branches reached high into the same sky it once feared it would never touch. Birds began to rest upon its arms, and travelers found shade beneath its wide, gentle leaves. Every breeze carried whispers of gratitude, from the ground that nourished it, from the rain that softened it, and from the sun that strengthened it. The tree understood now that nothing in life had been against it. Everything had been guiding it toward this moment of peace. The same soil that once felt suffocating had actually held it in love, teaching it patience. The storms that once seemed cruel had shaped its resilience. And now, in stillness, it finally realized the seed never truly died. It had only changed form. It had become what it was always destined to be. Life, like a seed, often hides its purpose within the darkness. We mistake silence for abandonment, delay for denial, and pain for punishment. Yet all of it is part of our unseen growth. The seed must break to sprout, the sprout must bend to grow, and we must fall before we learn to rise. When you feel buried by life, remember, you're not buried. You're being planted. Every storm, every waiting season, every painful ending is shaping the roots of your strength. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you surrender to the process. So, when the world feels heavy and progress unseen, trust what's happening beneath the surface. Because one day, you'll rise. Not as the person who feared the dark, but as the one who learned to bloom within it.